Bellsoft, a global systems integrator with 4 offices in the US, 1 in Canada, and 2 offshore development facilities in India, is announcing our SAP HANA partnership with Fujitsu. For 17 years, Bellsoft has exceeded the needs of enterprise clients all around the world. Bellsoft is an SAP partner specializing in SAP solutions, delivered on-site, nearshore, and offshore. Bellsoft thanks you for joining us, and we look forward to working with you. Please contact us at saphana@bellsoftinc.com. That's saphana@bellsoftinc.com.
Steve Lucas, and I have Richard McCormick. For those of you who don't know me, welcome to All Access SAP. Welcome our studio audience and everybody that's watching us live abroad. I know we have a few people that stayed up. We're happy to have you. And so to get started, I want to introduce myself. My name is Miko Yuk. I am the founder of a company called Benchmarkers Business Intelligence, and we specialize, in business objects consulting. I'm also known as being the founder of everythingexcelsius.com and a pretty loud advocate of BI. So when Steve used to head the BI portfolio, we kind of built a good relationship because I was pretty much head on with the product as an evangelist. Is that a good way to put it?
That's good.
And now I've been termed an influencer. So before I get started,
why don't I... Is that an upgrade or a downgrade? That's a big upgrade.
That's a big upgrade, actually.
Okay.
It actually means they listen this time.
That's right.
So with that said, let me go ahead and hand over to do introductions. Steve, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Miko, and a pleasure to be here in Atlanta. It's actually beautiful weather. I was expecting it to be about 174 degrees, but it's not bad at all. It's beautiful. And the stadium here is amazing. This is a really neat venue, and thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you for being.
I'm Steve Lucas. I'm the Executive Vice President and General Manager of what we call our Database and Technology Organization at SAP. And that basically is anything and everything product-wise that is database, information management, or application integration tools. And of course, that does include products like HANA. It also includes technologies like Sybase, NetWeaver, and the like, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then Richard from Fujitsu, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. I'm Richard McCormack, in charge of marketing here for Fujitsu in the USA. We make a wide range of products, everything from laptop devices up to server and storage, but we're here today to talk about the HANA appliances that we produce. Going to get into a lot more details later on, but we've got a whole range of these devices, not just here in North America, but of course all over the world.
Excellent. So for our live studio audience online, just so you know, Steve was referring to the fact that we're actually overlooking the Turner Field. We're in a suite and it's absolutely gorgeous. There's actually a game tonight. I think it's like the Braves playing the Padres or somebody, is it?
4-4.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're actually shooting this before the game, so it's pretty exciting. Okay, so just a little bit of history. AllAccessSAP.com, for those people that don't know, the domain name is kind of a thread of a little social experiment that I started where we have a huge community involved online. The guys who are sitting here are not familiar with that, I don't think. And so we what we've done is we put this show together to really hash out any issues or myths, etc. So what this show is not going to be marketing. We're literally going to kind of jump in very quickly. We're going to do the what is HANA spiel, so Steve will take care of that. And then we're going to jump into a lot of the myths and the questions that people have about HANA. So being that I go to tons of conferences every year, I just got back from Australia last night, which is where my voice is going. I sit down with a lot of customers, and even Atlanta, I went to the last Atlanta ASOG event, and there's a lot of myths that I hear about HANA, right? I hear things like, I'm sick of hearing about HANA. Steve is going to address that. HANA costs $1 billion, right? I mean, Steve's going to address that. For the first time, he's going to go on record with cost, right? This is pretty exciting. HANA has no customers. I don't believe it. HANA is hard to implement. There's all types of things. So we're going to literally take all of these scenarios, put them on the ground today. I'm going to get it started by asking questions directly to Steve, and then we're going to take questions directly from the audience. So this is not just a hear us talk scenario. And then we're going to take questions from online. So again, for all the people who stayed up, I know we have people in South Africa, Australia, across the world who are watching. We are going to take your questions in the second half of the show. So with that said, Steve, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. So Steve, why don't we start off with, just in case nobody knows, though they spent $1 billion in marketing, what is HANA?
What is HANA? Well, I can tell you that HANA does not cost $1 billion. I don't know what they said. It sounds like a lot. We'll talk about, so if you had asked me a year and a half ago, what is HANA? I actually would have said rather succinctly that HANA is an in-memory database. I would have said that. You know, my understanding of HANA has evolved dramatically, as has the product over the last year and a half. HANA realistically is a platform. It's a platform for SAP's business applications to run faster, better, more efficiently, and for you to administer them and leverage them more easily. But it's also a platform for any application, whether it's SAP or not. Now, inside of that platform, there's concepts like a database. There's also technology like predictive capability or analytic capability. There's also capability like unstructured text or unstructured text analytics capability. It's a very broad platform, and we're really building HANA to be a business platform for your existing apps, your future applications, whether they're mobile, otherwise, that your company can make a big bet on. That's really what HANA is all about. The fact that it's in memory, that's great. It's very powerful. The fact that it does many things, that it's a relational or transactional system, that it's a columnar or analytical system, those are technical, kind of descriptions of it. But it does all of those things. The most important thing to understand about HANA is it is the future of SAP.
Yep.
Starting last year through now. Every business application that SAP makes, everything will be built on HANA. Everything.
We've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was showing Nico this slide that I'm going to be sharing with a customer, actually a HANA customer, tomorrow morning when I go up to Philadelphia. And it kind of shows everything today that either runs on top of HANA or side by side with HANA. And the slide is getting really wide. I had to go to widescreen mode to fit everything in. And it's definitely evolving. So at the end of the day, this is a very exciting platform that's going to be around for the next 30, 40 plus years.
Okay, so that's a really good start. So let's knock out some factual questions. First of all, how old is HANA now? I know it had a second birthday. Is it 2 years old?
Well, no, it's actually, so HANA's a little older than that, but technically we launched HANA. It was generally available on June 20th, 2011. So it's technically
1 year old. Okay,
yeah.
I saw they had a big party with Michelle, and
that
was pretty exciting.
Cake and everything. And while HANA's a year old, technically we've been working on HANA for a long time. It's been in R&D and development to one degree or another for probably 6-7 years. Long time.
Okay, and then in terms of the business opportunity, just so we start to cast the net of magnitude, how much business have you guys sold for HANA to date? How many customers do you currently have? I just want to start out by kind of laying the platform that it really is helping customers.
Sure. Yeah, well, definitely. So just in terms of revenue, I don't like to focus on revenue because that's more of a interesting for SAP, not so interesting for everybody else. But
well, it's good to know it's new that customers are spending on it.
Oh, they are, definitely.
I mean, that's a big factor, right?
So we launched it last year in June, and from June to December, we did about 160 million euro in license revenue on the product. So it went from literally zero. We have an overall global pipeline. That was just last year. This year, we've done almost that much in the first 6 months of the year. So we are on track for about a 320 million euro license revenue year. That doesn't include services support. That's just the license. So it's taken off. We have
how many customers?
Over 500 customers now. So we have a lot of customers.
How many in production?
We have about 100. It's really, really close. It's somewhere in the mid to high 90s now at this point, but we have almost 100 in production, and every week there's just, you can see the growing number of customers going live. And we have about 4,000 companies evaluating the product right now. So that's a lot, and about 1.6 billion euro worth of a pipeline that we're working on. So, it's exciting times.
Okay.
Nico, can I just ask a quick question, because you were talking about the worldwide audience. I wonder how many of those 500 or so, what's the demographic split
it's a great
around
question.
the world?
And the industry as well.
Yeah, and the Americas were a really early adopter. There's some great local companies that are always the forward thinkers, and I won't get into, I can't name drop who they are, but some really great local companies that were early adopters of HANA here led the way. But globally, we probably have about 40% now in North America, and then an even distribution across EMEA, APJ, and Latin America.
Okay.
Some of our biggest HANA customers are in Latin America.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, and then just a rumor question. Oracle's worst nightmare. There is this a battle with Oracle and SAP. Is HANA Oracle's worst nightmare?
Well, I hope it is.
That's being honest.
from
Oracle's watching?
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
we're not focused on Oracle really. From our standpoint, we believe that HANA is an innovation platform. We're not really looking to see what Oracle did over the last 30 years.
They're watching.
We're trying to figure out what our customers need and innovate. And you know what? We've been called crazy. We've been called idealistic. And I love being crazy and idealistic. It's really cool. And I think what we're doing with HANA, it truly is groundbreaking. It really is. It's very exciting. So. From my perspective, we're not looking back.
Okay, so talking about groundbreaking, what are the top use cases you're seeing for HANA now?
Well,
in production,
yeah,
what is
in
the?
Production, there's really three.
Okay.
There's really
so
three.
we narrowed it down to three.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first is probably the biggest, and it's just because it's been around the longest, is what I call accelerated analytics, and that is I have a BI infrastructure, perhaps running on Fujitsu, whatever it may be. So I have a BI infrastructure and a business intelligence product with thousands of reports and dashboards, whatever that may be. And there's just a fundamental need to make those faster, better, more efficient in general. And you may not think that's very exciting, but if you're getting information to your end user community in half the time that you normally took, you're giving them productivity back. And so we see a lot of that. And that may not be sexy, but it's got teeth.
But sorry?
I was going to say, you also see the situation where people were not writing reports in a certain way because they knew they would take too long.
Yeah.
And now they're able to write them and get
absolutely.
new information out of the system.
Well, you're just taking, things like half the time you don't even need to build the report anymore because you've got the view in HANA and you can just use the same view over. And really, this is what I call a bread and butter scenario. It's not the coolest, but it's very common. Now, the second scenario, which starts to get into cool territory, is BW on HANA. So that one is kind of doing this. It's really ramping up a lot.
Okay.
Now, we just launched BW on HANA literally a few months ago, like generally available. We already have over 100 customers with it.
That makes sense.
It's pretty exciting. And it's really simple. I have a BW system today. And if you think about it, when I say BW, I know what everybody thinks, because we think it's, boy, Steve, it's a powerful system, but man, there's a lot of construction cost. I have to build info cubes and DSOs and all kinds of fun stuff. And it can kind of, it's productive for our company, but wish it wasn't so hard to maintain and support and implement. And HANA makes it dramatically easier. It makes it easier to implement, easier to maintain, easier to build reports and analytics. And for a company, my favorite use case is a company that they have a very simple business model. They put water in a bottle,
okay,
and then they put it on a truck and ship it. Pretty straightforward, model. And now, at the end of the day, there's a super complex business around that. But one of their pains was, Steve, because my BW system isn't getting updated in time. In other words, I can't ask it. Let's say that I have a truck that's half empty or half full. I can't ask BW, well, what open orders do I have? Because those open orders sit in ERP.
Got it. So there's a bit of a delay.
Right. So they implemented HANA, and it may seem trivial, but we were able to move data real time from ERP into BW with HANA.
Oh,
and
nice.
now they're able to ask those questions in real time. Now that's probably the most simplistic scenario, but there are literally hundreds of scenarios, opportunities where companies are looking at really cool, powerful scenarios. And what they're doing is saying, man, with HANA, how performant it is under BW, I'm putting third-party data in there, I'm building new business apps. And so that's the second scenario. The final one, just to be very short, is it's actually just new business applications. Nothing to do with SAP at all.
Like what you showed me on the iPad earlier?
Yeah.
That's so
exactly.
cool.
There's companies.
That really is cool.
Yeah, there's companies that are doing things like feeding cable TV data off of your set-top box that you watch into HANA to analyze what commercials you like, which ones you don't, and then putting that custom programming back to you. No SAP data at all. There's companies that are taking data from 30, 40 systems at once and putting it all in HANA so that they can deliver real-time information out to their field service technicians. So, gosh, it's all over the place. And that is an emerging category. And what's neat about it is when you say HANA is a platform, You know, you'd expect us to run business objects on HANA, or
Yep.
the business suite on HANA, or BW on HANA, but would you expect us to have, 40+% of our HANA customers that don't
Non-SAP.
own SAP?
Right.
And that's exactly where we're going, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, so in those three scenarios, let's dive in a little bit now. You talked about, basically seems like there's analytics, and then there's BW, and then there's apps. One of the things I hear a lot with customers, I don't know if you hear this, is how do you justify costs, right? So I know we're going to get into costs, but a lot of times the first thing I hear is, I can't afford it. You know,
Right.
so the first thing is, let's talk about what it costs. And the second thing is, how is SAP having that conversation with customers who are saying, hey, I just paid all this money for ABCD. You know, you want me to bring in these two blades that cost, LMNOP. How is that happening?
Right. Well, I can tell you right now, I'll give you the number one way to fail with HANA. So this is it. If you really want to fail.
Don't pay the bill?
No, well, besides that. So, yeah.
Sorry.
No, you get lots of attention from SAP if you don't pay
Pay the bill, right.
But no, the number one way to fail with HANA is to think of it as just a database migration. I have database X, it's slow. I'm going to migrate to HANA, it's fast, it's a database migration. That is the worst use case ever.
Yeah, but isn't that because SAP first started that whole database war with Oracle? I mean, you guys are the one who formed the market.
Well, Oracle really picks all the fights.
Right,
Yeah, but,
right. SAP is in a...
we're just the good guys.
Of course.
But honestly, no. So HANA, I don't think of HANA as just a fast database. And if that's how you approach it, then
Okay.
you're going to fail from a business justification standpoint.
Okay.
What we typically do is we'll sit down with a customer and say, let's think about the 10, 15, 20 possible business use cases that leverage the following. The speed, okay, that's one of HANA, but that's first and foremost. Second is its ability to consume large amounts of data in real time. People don't realize that one of the special things about HANA is actually getting data into it incredibly quickly. So HANA, we worked very hard with Intel for years to leverage their parallel processing so that we could push massive amounts of data in and out very quickly.
Okay,
So-
what's quickly? Let's put some numbers on the table.
well, actually, so I won't
Right.
quote it because I'll get it wrong, but we do
Give
have
us a range.
We have a benchmark published on ExperienceSAPHANA.com.
Oh, you
Go
do?
look at the physical numbers there. Yep.
Okay, experience, SAP.HANA.
ExperienceSAPHANA.com. It's the longest URL ever.
Okay, so again, I just want to get back. First of all, so let's start with this. How much does HANA cost? The
How
big,
much does
I
it
know, hold on, our live studio audience, there are people up waiting for this, so I want to
Okay.
make sure we get it out while they're here.
All right.
We have heard, right? I've heard everything from a gabillion
gabillion.
to
Which is a
5
lot.
million to
It is a
10
lot.
million. You know, we've heard all types of things. So let's knock that out first and then talk
Yep.
about justification. How much does HANA cost, Steve?
Okay, well, I will talk about, when you think about the cost of a new platform like a HANA, there's a lot of cost to consider. There's the software, the hardware, the maintenance, the support, hiring people to run
Setting
the
it up
system.
in the first place.
So it's the whole TCO. I'm going to talk about just the license revenue for a minute. And I've never given these numbers
I
in
know.
public,
That's
so-
why we're on All Access
okay,
SAP.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Well, so first of all, I'll talk about the stuff that you probably already know. The first is if you are a Business One customer, Business One from SAP, you can actually purchase a full HANA system software for €2,000. That's the entire license. That's it.
How much are the blades, Steve? I mean, seriously.
Well, the blades, if you think about from you guys, there's actually some fairly, what I'll call relatively inexpensive. You can get into 20, K US, 30 K US.
Okay.
12K US.
12K
you can start
US,
as low as that.
so I didn't want to,
But how does that work? So treat me like I'm dumb. How does this work?
Okay.
What does 12K buy you? Because there are people that literally, there's so many rumors on this, I want to lay it straight off of this call.
12K is a server plus 2K euro for
Yeah,
the
but can that
license.
really run an enterprise company?
Well, so that's for a B1 or
be a
Business
small
One scenario.
enterprise.
for a
Okay,
small
got it.
enterprise.
We have monster companies in the room
Right,
and
so
online.
we're going to go to Monster.
Yeah, let's start from the top, go down.
Well, if I started from the top and went down, then someone would email me from a small company and say, how come you never start with the small company
Okay.
first? So, small company first. That's a fairly inexpensive scenario.
So it's 12K per blade for 2 blades, or
It's 12K per blade,
software is going to run you how much?
about €2,000, so call it 3,000 US.
How much is implementation?
I don't know what the dollar amount would be, call it a couple weeks of service.
Couple weeks of services. Okay, so you can do HANA for under 100,000 for a
Oh,
small company.
Probably under 50 for a small
And you've
company.
seen this done into production.
We have many live B1 customers on HANA.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. Okay,
Yep. So that's number one.
now big enterprise.
Number two is what we call HANA Edge. So it's kind of medium-sized enterprise
Here
to
we go.
departmental enterprise. So HANA Edge is a fixed price product. It's the full version of HANA, and it's €40,000 for the license. That's it. 40,000 euro, that gets you a full use HANA license, and there's even an upgrade so you can add a second HANA Edge server, so you can have 2. So you can expand the system. It's not what I would call infinitely expandable, but it is, you can
Yeah, there's
start
data
with it.
limitations.
There are some
Yeah.
limitations on size, but that's because we want to give people an affordable way to start with HANA. So you can get, a server from Fujitsu, you can get a HANA server, and again, very affordable server, very affordable license, and you, for that scenario, that's definitely your under 100K scenario.
Okay, so we have under 50K if you're business one use, and then we have edges under 100K.
Under 100K for hardware, software, and implementation.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about what we have
Now
in
we're
the
in
room.
the big
Now this is what everybody's
All
waiting
right.
for. Where's the $1 billion? Because this is where the money's really being made, right?
For the $1
What pays Steve's salary?
If I had a $1 billion, I would retire. So,
How much is a billion?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So there's 2 things I can talk about. So the first is, I'm going to give you the exact pricing model for BW on HANA.
There we go.
So the reason I'm going to do that is because it's what I can talk about publicly. So that's what I'm going to give you, is that
Okay.
that number. Now HANA at the enterprise level, but we have 2 versions of it. It's really simple. We have BW on HANA,
Yep.
and we have full use HANA. BW on HANA means it's the full version of HANA, but you use it with BW. Anything you want to put in BW, third-party data, don't care, full use, it comes with the data management tools, it comes with the database, all of that is included in the BW one. It's basically the same version as Enterprise,
Okay.
but Enterprise you can use with any system, not just BW. So that's the difference between the 2.
And somebody said, this is another rumor, BW is free with HANA or cheaper with HANA than it is by itself. Is that true?
It's cheaper, it's probably a TCO statement, but I'll explain.
Okay,
I'll
go ahead.
So let's say that you own a BW system from SAP today.
Yep.
And you want to acquire HANA. The first thing is for both versions, we have it's the first product in SAP's history that is on what we call a price schedule. What that means is we've written down how many units of HANA you can buy, and the price is based on the number of units. So if you
Okay.
buy 1 unit of HANA, I'll explain a unit in a minute.
Is that
it's
a
a certain
blade?
price. If you buy 100 units of HANA, the price actually declines linearly.
Okay.
So, and here's the cool part. The more units you buy over time, you can buy 2 today, 20 next year, the 30, it's accretive. So the price continues to decrease the more you buy. And that's unique in enterprise software. Everybody in this room is probably used to negotiating a % discount, and that's what you pay forever. And that's not the way it works with HANA. It continues to decrease. It gets cheaper the more you use.
So are units blades?
So here's what a HANA unit is. A
Okay.
HANA unit is not a blade. It's an amount of storage.
Okay.
So every 64 gigabytes of memory, because that's what HANA is, a memory-based system, in your server, that's a HANA unit. Now here's the cool part. There's no other cost. We don't charge per CPU. We don't charge for test. We don't charge for dev. We don't charge for the amount of disk that you have. None of that. It doesn't exist in HANA
Just
pricing.
storage.
So it's just the amount of memory that you have in your server. That's physically it. And
Okay.
it's really cool. So number 1, the more you buy, it continues to decrease. And number 2, it's just per 64 gig of memory.
So
So
here-
our first offering begins at 128 gig. So you can put 2 of those
2 HANA units would fit in one server.
into one single offering, and we sell them in terms of, we call them t-shirt sizes.
Okay.
So you've got extra small, large, medium, excuse me, don't forget the mediums, large, extra large, extra large, as you scale up, and Steve's going to go on to what happens when
Yep.
you get to multi-node in a minute,
Yep.
which is when you start getting more expensive. But down at the low end, you've got 128, 256, 512, and then we just qualified our first 1 terabyte
Yep.
single server
Yeah.
just last week. It was in the August certification list. It
Yeah.
just came out, so like breaking news.
Okay.
And what's important, and this is probably the most important piece about HANA pricing that you could ever understand, is that just because you have 64 gigabytes or 1 unit of HANA memory, doesn't mean that you can only store 64 gigabytes of data.
No.
Okay.
HANA dramatically compresses the data before it puts it into memory. So we have a lot of customers that have a BW system with 1 terabyte of data, but we're compressing it before it goes into HANA to 256, 300 gigabytes. So you
Wow.
might only need 2 or 3 or
So do
4
you
or
guys have
5 units
statistics
HANA.
on what that compression is if you're putting in a, do you guys have
Normally what we
benchmarks on
do
that?
is, you know what, it's not a science because
Got it, okay.
because depending on how the type of data you have, how much and what it looks like, it can
Right.
change. But here's what we do.
So it is a science.
Well, no, it's not a science. Not entirely, because here's what we can do. What we can do.
So how do customers
we can't
know
give you
how
an
to
exact
determine?
formula.
Right.
But how do customers know how to determine then what size do I need?
Well, here's what we do. Normally, we ask customers to give us a small subset of their data, kind of
Sample?
clean sample, so it's not, anything proprietary or confidential. And we'll put it in one of our HANA servers and tell them what the compression ratio is.
Got it.
So
Okay.
this is the kind of thing we then can start to help with, because we've got global demo centers set up where a customer can come down and test it out. They can do POC if they wish, or even try and buy to get a feeling for what's going on in that first place.
Got it.
If they just want to sample the data, come down to one of the regional demo centers that we run together, have a look at it there.
Yep. So now we know a couple things. We know that the only thing I have to buy is a HANA unit, and it's just per 64 gig of storage.
Are you
That's-
prepping us for the Gabillion price?
Yeah, here's the price.
Okay.
No, it's good. You'll like it. There's no gabillion or there's
Okay.
not even an illion after it. So,
Oh, good. Okay. That's
so-
interesting.
Yeah, so it's just one HANA unit, everything included. Price decreases the more you buy into perpetuity.
Okay.
So for BW on HANA, if you buy one unit, it's about 50K per unit, somewhere in that price.
$50,000.
50,000 euro or dollars, depending on the country you're in.
Okay, and how many, for an enterprise company, how many average units do you need, based
Well,
on what
let
you
me
say?
tell you about the other end of the price,
Okay.
and then we'll get there. So the
Sounds
more-
too good to be true, Steve.
No,
I'm-
you asked me to come here, and then if at the low end or the cheapest end, it's about 5K per unit. So it can go from 50, about 50, more than 50, but about 50 down to 5. That's the range. So when you draw the line on the price points,
Right.
that's it.
So you're saying that a big enterprise can get the full-blown HANA for below $1 million, if I'm doing my math correctly?
Well, if you're running BW on HANA, yes. If
Okay.
you're running BW, so here's how it would work. You talk with a fine salesperson from SAP. You call them in or her in, and you sit down and you say, we have a BW system, and we want to run BW on top of HANA. The first thing you would do is figure out how much storage you're going to need to run your BW system on HANA. Hopefully that's after the cool business use case discussion, right?
Okay.
So that's step one. Step two would be have that conversation. If you're going to buy, let's say, maybe we determine that you need 11 units. I'm making up a random number here, but
That does add up.
11 or 12 units, right?
Okay.
So that would be 10 or 11 units would give you about a half a terabyte, maybe a little bit more of HANA storage. You could put a lot of data
Yeah, after it compresses.
after you compress it into that system. So certainly more than a terabyte worth of data into that system. And then cost-wise, you're probably going to be 11 units because you're moving down the discount tier. And it's the same for every customer. Every company pays the same.
Do the
depending-
salespeople know that?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Absolutely.
fascinating.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a really cool price schedule model, and it's a really neat model. I'm a big advocate of it. And you probably pay, I don't know. It depends on what the tier is, but somewhere in the 400 to 500K range for the license, somewhere in there.
Okay, and then after implementation, you're still under $1 million?
Yeah, it depends on who the installer is. Hopefully, you're using like a Fujitsu type technology to get the most bang for your buck. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think the average that people now that's a pretty high end scenario. The average for BW on HANA, I think you're going to spend like maybe 300K on license, somewhere in there. That's what
Okay.
most people end up spending.
And
Unless
hardware?
you're really big. Now look, if you've got like
Couple hundred
40,
for
50 terabytes in HANA, or sorry, in
That's gonna
BW, like
cost
a
more.
lot of stuff, you're going to be much further down the discount tier.
Got it.
But it's not going to be like a 100K project. It's not
Okay.
going to be that.
That's good to know. So when you implement HANA into companies, from what you've seen, and I've asked you this question before, we went back and forth, is HANA disruptive to IT? Because I mean, you guys are literally coming in, right, and changing people's worlds. Vishal keeps saying HANA is not disruptive, not disruptive. I don't know if anybody else has heard this. Is it disruptive? I mean, tell us what's really happening when you guys implement HANA. Because right now, SAP knows how to use HANA and partners do. A lot of companies don't have the resources internally to do it. So how is it not disruptive? That's
Yeah.
one thing I don't understand. Vishal keeps saying it, and I don't understand it.
Well, first of all, let's think about like a BW example.
Okay.
So if I have a BW system, I'm an SAP customer, and I have a BW system, and I move out database X. We'll call it brand X or brand O. And you move that database out, and then you put HANA.
Brand O, Steve?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
And you put
All right.
this random selection,
Okay.
and you put HANA underneath it. That's actually not, and I don't want to trivialize the work, but it's not that difficult to do. It's a database migration for the most part. Granted, you're getting a whole lot more with HANA as a
But Steve,
platform.
you're eating HANA every day. I'm talking about the IT guy who's been sitting there
Right.
managing his database systems. He knows what's supposed to
Well, so
happen.
here's the-
Then he gets handed this Lamborghini. He's a customer driving a Ford.
Here's the disruptive part.
Okay.
The disruptive part is it's a new platform. There's
Yes.
things you're going to have to learn with HANA. I mean,
Okay.
it's not one for one.
So how is SAP helping companies to do that?
Right,
Because
exactly.
SAP has a reputation for coming in, selling, and then walking through the door.
Well, first and foremost is our community site is second to none. If you go to
is.
experiencesaphana.com,
I agree.
we have over 1,000 pieces of educational and training material on that website for free. You can get it today.
And more coming
Yeah,
on a
more
regular
coming.
basis.
And we have partners that are contributing to that as well. So, like for example, if you want to go get the HANA cookbook, it's available today
It
on
is good.
experiencesaphana.com.
Yep.
So all of that is there. That's first and foremost. Second is we have a formal HANA certification program through our education org.
Okay.
So we have that available. It's been available for a year. And I think those two pieces, coupled with our partner expertise, make it a really good, kind of as straightforward as it can be system to implement.
Okay, so again, I'm going to ask this. So you walk in, you do HANA, I know we'll go through the process. My question is, realistically right now for the customers you have in production, how is it working with IT? The business is happy, but I still feel, when I talk to
Yeah.
IT people, even though you certify, you're not going to learn it tomorrow.
Well, there's two scenarios. There's the rip the Band-Aid off, let's just go for it, put whatever system we have on top of HANA, whether it's SAP or third party, whatever. And then there's the side-by-side scenario, and I see a lot of those.
Okay.
A lot of where I have a BW system and I spin up a mirror system on HANA. So I'm not really, going live on HANA until everybody's used to it. I'm going to let it run for 3-4 months, whatever. That's a scenario. Or I have a business object system. I want to put HANA underneath
Right.
it, but I don't, flip
I want to
and switch
yank
it.
everything. Correct.
A lot of probably half our deployments are side-by-sides. And that's what Vishal means by non-disruptive, because we have inside of HANA data replication technology that can almost in real time, it's hundreds of milliseconds that we measure it in, replicate data from an ERP system, a BW system, third-party databases into HANA, and it's to an end user, it's not noticeable at all. It's completely, I would say invisible to them.
Right, they just see fast, pretty
Yeah,
reports coming
exactly.
out.
And then for the IT department, which is where we get involved a lot with Fujitsu, of course, as you come in and talk to the IT department, you talk about a sidecar or a side-by-side implementation. We can provide them with an appliance that they can put next to their existing hardware. Doesn't need to have been hardware from us, can have been from another vendor, so you've got a little bit of a choice there. And then you can implement that sidecar or that side-by-side operation in a very comfortable way for the IT department, so they then see that mirrored system and feel good about it.
I like the term sidecar. Makes it sound like you know what you're doing.
I thought that was
we'll
your
call it
term.
We'll call it a sidecar. See, I like that. I'm going to
Okay,
adopt that.
Maybe
so
we made that up.
That's my
let's
statement now.
Okay, so let's jump into a scenario here. So walk me through very quickly, because we have to start taking questions from audience, etc. Walk me through very quickly, what does a real HANA cycle look like? From the time SAP gets in, feeds the Kool-Aid out, buys the dinners, it gets bought, the POC. I mean, let's be honest, right? The POC, so they usually sell it,
Make it a good dinner.
They usually sell it to a CIO and make everybody else eat the dog food lower down,
Well, here's the
You
thing.
drink champagne with SAP. You
Yeah,
don't
Right.
drink dog
So
food.
here's the first thing.
IT does.
So I think the process, it can be anywhere from 90 days to 6 months, depending, for the evaluation, depending on.
Okay, so that's that's finding the use case.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the first and most important thing you can do is sit down with SAP and say, show me the use cases. So start with the business.
Okay.
And really what you want to understand is, what are the business pains today, and why is it either economically or, investment-wise, why is it out of reach for the business today? And then you can start talking about things like, well, think about HANA for a minute, because, here's a perfect case in point. I had a conversation with a company in India recently.
Okay.
And this company, this was a couple months ago, and they said, Steve, the issue is we've got systems. We've got, vendor X for the database. We've got SAS for the predictive analytics. We've got this other company for the BI. And that's exactly the problem, is they've got this company to do the predictive part of their,
Yep.
what they're.
And that's very typical.
And this company to do the BI part, and this company to store
Yep.
the data, and that is where the fundamental issue starts. And what HANA addresses is, you don't need any of that. HANA is all of that. It gives you all of that in one single system. So you start with a clean, simple architecture, single server, simple, one product to solve those pains. And then instead of worrying about, well, which of these 9 vendors do I have to go to buy blah, you can just focus on the business problem. And that's the cool part about HANA. But for me, it's focus on the business use case, step 1. Step 2, then focus on, okay, well, where's the data coming from? Am I grabbing Twitter data? Am I grabbing ERP data? Am I pulling data from a business objects universe? Am I pulling it from wherever? And putting that in HANA and figure out how much you're going to need. And then you're getting, not just a hardware, but a services partner like a Fujitsu to help you understand how would I construct that solution.
Right, but hold on. He comes in the door with SAP, right? The hardware partner comes in the door with SAP. No, I really want to explain this very clearly, right?
Because walking in arm in arm.
Right. Okay. So you guys are in bed together. Great. I'm in the middle. So sorry, I didn't mean to say it on camera. Sorry. Sorry, live studio audience. That just came out, but they're accustomed to me online. Metaphorically speaking, I'm saying hardware, software, and then smiling lady.
I'm totally with
Okay.
you.
So, couple yes/no questions. Is SAP doing free POCs right now?
Yes.
Okay, so you find the use case, and when you find these use cases, because this is where a lot of confusion comes in, you catalog all this stuff. This is still a new scenario for people. Is SAP helping to go and find those use cases? Because you show a catalog, but still, I think it's a new concept.
Well, we have about 100 customers that have bought HANA without a POC.
Right.
And normally what they do is...
Dinners? Did you take them out to dinner?
No.
Okay.
No. Normally what we would. Normally what a customer can do is first is go to experiencesaphana.com. If you click on the resources tab, there are literally over, I think it's about 500 industry-specific business use cases and line of business specific ones. Go to Experience SAP HANA. The second is if you've got more technical people in your organization, you can get HANA for free to evaluate.
Right.
If you go to Amazon.com, now it's just for evaluation, it's not production.
So they can develop, is it the full thing?
It's the full HANA and they can build an app.
Can you do that today?
Yeah.
So tell exactly how we do it. If you're a developer, you can go to...
If you go to experiencesaphana.com, there's a link to go to the Amazon website, and you, in 10 minutes, can spin up a full HANA server on Amazon.com.
Very nice. Okay, and your company data, everything you can...
Yeah, you can load your data in there. It's a full...
Is SAP watching? No, I'm just joking.
No, we're not. All we do is count, and there's a lot of people that are using that. So those are great ways to do lightweight evaluations of HANA. Of course, if you want to load your own data, we have 2 ways to do it. One is we can bring in Fujitsu and physically set up a server on site, load the data so you can see the real deal. You can also give us the data. We have some servers from Fujitsu that we have on site in Palo Alto, and we can load the data there and show you how it works there as well.
Okay, they're just giving me some time here in terms of time we have left. Before we take studio questions, I have to ask you this question because I've said it and it kind of, people get nervous about this. SAP and incubation. We talked about this offline.
Yeah.
I am under the strict belief, and I say in my opinion, for everybody watching, this is Miko's opinion,
we're all in the
that
bed here.
the way SAP is going, if you don't have HANA in the next 5 years, SAP may not be the right platform for you.
Right.
That's a very strong statement. I have yet to get any SAP person, high up or lower down, to confirm this, but everything that you guys have said indicate this, because we're hearing stuff like, oh, our new technologies like visual intelligence, etc., these things are being made. I actually was told it's going to be functionality that's going to come that's only going to work on HANA. What do you have to say about that statement?
Well, first of all, so 2 things. First of all, SAP will always support a third-party data source. Absolutely.
We're on
always.
camera.
100%.
I'm going to hold this 5 years from now,
Always.
Steve.
No,
I'll be gone, but...
We will. You can record this and put it on YouTube forever. The reality is that we do have a HANA first mentality.
But does that mean that they're going to hold functionality hostage?
No, it doesn't mean that. No, so absolutely not. I mean, so here's the unique thing about SAP. For 40 years, the company is 40 years old. We've supported every data source we can under the sun. We haven't had our own databases. We haven't.
But that's because you had to. You don't have to anymore.
Well, we don't have to anymore, but now we choose to because our strategy is love, Miko. It's just to show a lot of love to people. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's just love.
Okay.
But you know,
really?
the reality.
Another 4-letter word. Thank you.
Love. The reality is that we have a very, very good partnership with companies like IBM and Microsoft. We really do.
Okay.
And we're going to continue to support those data sources
as
databases.
This is prevalent because you don't have the lead in the market as yet.
No, absolutely not. I think that from our perspective, look, at the end of the day, I'm one of the people that influence or help make that call. As long as I'm around at SAP, my position is we built Hasso Plattner built one, I think, the most lasting and great companies in the world of software. It really is. And he built that company on being open and working with partners. And why would we change that?
Because when you no longer have to answer to the bulldogs or be hostage to the database, it only makes sense.
Here's the bottom line. We're going to give our customers a better choice with HANA. It's
Okay.
a better choice.
I'll remember this 5 years from now. Last question. BI customers, I have to ask you this.
Yes.
I go around the world. I'm sick of hearing about HANA. Anybody in the audience sick of hearing about HANA?
Everybody here loves HANA.
Yeah,
so they're
what do
awesome.
you, I went to Italy. Just came back from Australia. Miko, I'm sick of hearing about HANA.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that, Steve? Besides, I'm sick about hearing it
Well,
too.
believe it or not, I hear about HANA a lot too. I do. I think about HANA almost every waking moment of my day.
So you have 2 women in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And the reality is that, as I said at the very beginning, HANA is the platform for everything at SAP. So like it or not, HANA is the platform. And regardless of what product you use, from business objects or a cloud application or the suite, eventually HANA will be part of that solution. It will be. Our objective is to make it so that it is a super desirable platform, insanely great for your company. And then instead of worrying about, well, gosh, when am I going to, embrace HANA or, whatever, it's how can I leverage it? How can I use it to my advantage? At the end of the day, it's from our perspective, it's not rhetoric. HANA's here to stay. It is the platform for SAP's future.
But that's
It's
what
not
I'm
going
saying. So we
anywhere.
just talked about not incubating it, but you're basically saying you either eat it or you move. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Well,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't think we're saying you eat it or you move on, because remember, we are
But it
gonna
is the
support
future. So
third-party
if you're not
products.
on the boat, what do you do? That's my question.
Well, here's the thing. As is the case with today,
Yes.
our products, business objects in particular, support databases that aren't HANA. We're going to
Correct.
continue to do that.
Okay.
But if I were to say, let's be honest. If you said to me, Steve, features for which product will come out first,
It's gonna be HANA.
it's probably going to be HANA first, followed by. That doesn't mean that if
What
you're
will you
on
test on first?
Yeah, it doesn't mean
Gonna
that
be on
if you're not on HANA, you'll be SOL. That's not what it means. It just
Okay.
means that we have a platform and we love it.
Okay. We have a ton of questions online, so I'll get to that, but we have a lot. Let me start up with live studio audience. Do you guys have any questions? Because our line's going crazy. Anybody have questions for us here? Hopefully this was helpful so far. Yes, sir.
So HANA in the cloud, if I don't want to purchase hardware,
Right.
feasibility, architecturally, does it have to be adjacent to the rest of your ERP just to do data feeds? Or can we have it in a location and a source?
Okay, I need to repeat that for people who are on live broadcast. So we had someone in the audience ask, HANA on cloud, you said, you don't want to purchase software. What's the feasibility, hardware, I'm sorry,
Hardware.
what's the feasibility of having that option? Is that your question? Steve?
Sure. And in a moment, I'll defer as well. You might want to talk about,
Because then there's no Fujitsu, right?
perspective on it. Well, there may be in certain instances.
A number of cloud offerings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
The
so,
world
I,
is not only Amazon.
so I think you can comment in a moment about the cloud. Here's my point of view. HANA will exist and does in the cloud and on premise. So today we have products like our BIOnDemand.com product that runs on HANA in the cloud. So that's a great example. Realistically, having a database in the cloud or something like a platform in the cloud, there are a lot of advantages to it because you've got that performance for that specific application. One of the disadvantages might be how quickly can I move data from perhaps my ERP system up to the cloud. In theory, we have great data replication technologies that would allow you to do that. If you had a Fujitsu hosted system in the cloud and you had an SAP like ERP system on premise and you wanted to move data between those, we have a great data replication tool that can do that. You are subject to whatever the kind of network bandwidth availability is at the end of the day. So there's just going to be some discussion around SLAs in terms of moving data and how quickly you can say the words real time. I don't know if you have any
No,
other
I think you hit it right on the head. There's a number of cloud offerings in the industry out there right now. It's not only about Amazon.
Yep.
So you can do your own in-house cloud offering. We have a lot of large enterprises now do on-premise cloud for their own users.
Yeah.
We're providing the infrastructure for that. We're hosting other people's clouds, and we have our own public cloud options as well. So a lot of opportunities for there. I think Steve answered it very well.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Thank you guys for that in the crowd. on
The
HANA?
audience is lucky enough that they can follow up with us afterwards as well. while
They
we're,
can. Well, we have a few questions here online. I just want to make sure that any other questions in the audience. We have Clint asking, can you cover pricing on non-BW systems? Is the pricing the same? I've heard more expensive.
It is more expensive.
Why? And how much is it?
So the how much, I actually,
We just need a range.
yeah, so I can give you, well, it's I can't give you the range yet because I didn't get clearance to talk about that one today. So
Nobody will know.
I think, oh.
We won't
yeah,
tell.
Exactly. I think.
Okay, don't tweet this online, guys, so we can get the number out of Steve.
Right, let's just say, well, it's more expensive is how I'd characterize
Okay, is it 50% more, 100%? Is it is that
Well,
like
I
$1
might as well
billion?
just tell you if I give you a percentage, right? I would
Okay.
say this, anyone can find out the full use pricing. All you have to do is ask your account executive. But I was asked by our, AEs to have that conversation.
There's a $1 billion,
And
Clint.
it's
No,
still
billions.
calculated on the unit basis, isn't it? You still
It's
work
the
out how
same
many
pri-
units
it's
you
the
want.
same pricing
same
model.
tiering.
It's just more expensive because it's
Yeah.
full use. You can use it anywhere, anytime. I'll give you a couple things that maybe we haven't
Okay,
said.
I'm just.
One is we have an enterprise license for HANA as well, so
Mhm.
you can get like a full use version.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that are out there. The bottom line is that the perception of HANA, you have to remember, data is compressed. Our competition won't tell you that. They just kind of tell you it is whatever the memory number is. Data is significantly compressed. It is more expensive, but I wouldn't characterize it, Miko, as dramatically more expensive.
Okay, well, someone just said they heard it was very, very more expensive.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, then we have John ERP. Hi, John. He said, but it's fair to say that the new line of HANA apps will only run on HANA database, not on partner databases, DBAs. Is that true?
If it's called a HANA app, then it is built specifically
Must
for
work on
HANA
HANA.
only.
Is that device agnostic as well?
It can run on multiple vendors. We do optimization efforts with specific vendors, like a Fujitsu, for
Yeah.
example, on certain HANA applications. But a HANA app is generic, yes.
Okay, and then someone is asking about Fujitsu. This is funny. They said, is it me or Fujitsu came out of nowhere in this HANA stuff? What happened to IBM and HP? That was better
What
for
happened to who,
Steve.
sorry?
I think all the vendors
Well,
are.
yeah, so I'll certainly defer to you.
There's
for
6
Fujitsu.
vendors, right?
There's more than 6 that are now certified on HANA, but Fujitsu was actually one of the early ones. So
Very
there's-
early.
Yeah. So
Oh, really?
To be clear, Fujitsu's been around a long time and has price performance-wise some of the best servers out there, if not the best in many scenarios. So I want to be clear that Fujitsu's been around a long time. We
Okay.
absolutely work with IBM. We absolutely work with, what was the other one? HP.
HP, Cisco,
HP,
yeah.
they're certified. The most important thing is this. We believe that an open architecture is better than a closed one, and that is a religious difference between
Okay.
us and some of our competition. But Fujitsu's been around a long time, and in fact, with some of their new certified servers, like the getting close to the 1 terabyte certification,
Yep.
or have it. If you think about it for a minute, that's a powerful box, and price performance wise,
Single machine, terabyte of memory, 64 cores, that's a beast.
Yeah, very compelling.
Okay, rumor has it that HANA doesn't compress DB2 compressed data. Is that true?
Okay, HANA doesn't compress DB2 compressed. So HANA will compress any data that comes into it using its compression algorithm.
Okay.
If the data is already compressed, to what degree we would
Your
compress
mileage
it
may
further? I don't want to say that it would never happen, but it would be difficult to dramatically compress already dramatically compressed data.
Okay.
That would be, yes.
And I see here they're making fun about call your sales guy. Someone is saying if you get your SAP sales guy to help you find a use case, you won't be around when he finds it. What do you have to say to that?
Well, the use
These
cases,
guys are funny alignment.
yeah, these
They
guys.
they're
So
killing us here.
First of all, use cases are available on ExperienceSAPHANA.com. That's first and foremost. Second, SAP has something called the Global HANA Business Development, or COE
Okay.
team. It's a group of about 30 people that reports to me. They will come in with the account executive and with our value engineering team, and
Okay.
those groups help you identify the use case.
So there is a value engineering team.
yeah,
That's different.
The AE just wants
Okay.
there to show you the line and tell you how much it is.
And then I would say all of the implementation partners you've mentioned, not just Fujitsu, we all have it. It's in our own interest to look for those use cases as well with our customers.
No, I'm just saying the comments online is if you wait for them to find a use case, you'll be around for a long time waiting.
Well, I think that it's safe to say, most customers I sit down with, I brainstorm for an hour or two, and we've got a really good
You've got a
working
big
set
brain,
of
Steve,
ideas.
haven't you? That's a big brain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got a good working set of ideas in a couple hours if you bring in the right people from our value engineering team.
Okay, and then one person made a comment here, which is funny. Before you left BI, you said mobile first. So they're asking, is it HANA first or mobile first?
Well, in the world of BI, it's mobile first. In the world of database and technology, it's HANA first.
Okay,
That is a good mantra. I like that.
let me pause. Do we have any questions from studio audience? We have all these smiling people here. Do I see? Gabo, go ahead.
I can ask a question. In that same line of innovations, we have these pillars of mobile first. Hasan has talked about different pillars of innovation. But from an analytics perspective, it seems like we're going to lag behind that innovation.
Yes.
So can you explain to the full business crowd, right? Because, a database is a database for a business person, and they can care less what database that is.
Right.
For them, mobility, right, answering the question in an effective way, right? That's more important. So how does this HANA first mantra actually relate to your customers, and especially when they're coming from a business objects perspective?
Right.
I need to repeat that.
Oh, sure.
So the overall question was, how does HANA relate to business objects customers who basically don't have SAP, right? Or legacy customers? That's the question. I need to repeat it for the live audience. It's kind of long.
Innovation that will come out
Of analytics.
HANA and analytics.
Yes.
You're working together as opposed to just being a HANA first strategy.
Sure.
Right. Okay, and you're referring particularly to Visi working on HANA first, Explorer working on HANA first, all of our BI innovation getting hijacked. I forgot to address that.
Okay.
It is getting hijacked, Steve. Are you doing that? Who's
No,
doing it?
I'm not doing
It looks like it
hijacking.
goes up
I
a
thought this was
train.
an audience question, not
Right.
your question.
Sorry.
All right, so let me
It
cover
is getting hijacked somewhere in the top there. We've noticed.
So we launched, there's a product, you may have heard of it, it's called Visual Intelligence.
Visi, yep.
Or, yes, Visi. So if you're cool, you call it Visi. So that's so Visi's cool. And what Visual Intelligence is a brand new BI client tool that allows a business user to create really compelling visualizations on large data sets. That's what it does. And it does it in real time. Now the real time part is because when we launched Visi, or Visual Intelligence, the very first data source that it supported was HANA. So that's, now to me, you may say, well, that's selfish on SAP's part, but actually it creates what I think is to be a great experience for a business user. Here's what business users want. It's the same thing I want. It's why I still use Excel in certain scenarios. I don't want to wait around. I need my answer right this moment.
Right.
I don't want to sit and wait while the report comes back. I don't want to do that. And what Visual Intelligence gives you with HANA is that real-time experience. So they may not care what the database is called, HANA or whatever. But what the business user will care about is, it doesn't matter the size of the record set that I choose. It doesn't matter how complex the question is
Right.
that I'm asking. I get it, and I get it in like now, real time, not just sitting there watching and waiting. And that's the experience we wanted to create, is that promise of real-time analytics, real-time BI, real-time visualization.
Yeah, but
So
it
we're
just
doing
seems like they're innovating for HANA and then they're lagging on the actual databases that customers have today. Like, there's new tools coming out. The first thing they do is to connect to HANA. Remember,
Yep.
I talked to you about this. Is that going to be what we're going to see going forward?
I think that you're going to see.
Because analytics is definitely lagging innovation, right? We're copying people's tools. I'm sorry to say it online for live everybody.
Yep.
And then when it does come out, it connects to your beautiful database. So my question is, and to go back to his question coming from the BI perspective, is when are we going to see something that we can actually use, or when is analytics going to catch up with HANA?
Right. So to be clear, though, Visual Insight, which is part of the Business Objects portfolio,
Yes.
sitting on top of HANA, if you focus on what what you can do with it, and I'm coming to like rounding the corner to your question
What?
here.
Okay,
If you
'cause-
focus on what you can do with it, think about it. I can take a massive amount of data. I really don't care what the amount of data is. It's only limited by how much, HANA capacity you have.
Right.
And put it in HANA. And what's the normal business intelligence experience? I can tell you what it is. It's, well, it's going to take me, a week to build the universe, and then after I have the universe, then I have to create a bunch of reports, and the reports may not be fast enough for the end user.
Bob J, you must be
And then-
loving this.
And then they want to, but here's the thing. With HANA, when you put that information into HANA, because it's incredibly fast, and then when you view it with Visual Intelligence, I can have one single HANA view and
Okay.
create in real time any visualization of the data I want, and the end user experience is radically
But how do
different.
we know that if we're not even, if we can't even connect the tools to the databases we already have? That's,
here's- but
we
the
have
whole-
Bob J tools that don't connect to Bob J, Steve.
But here's the important thing. The BobJ experience today is you have this business objects portfolio of tools,
Right.
and an unpredictable number of databases or data sources. I don't know what I'm connecting to.
Correct.
It could be a PeopleSoft system. It could be Oracle Financials. It could be an SAP. It could be anything. And because business objects has to deal with all that ambiguity, and that ambiguity can create slowness in the analytics process.
Yep.
When you go with a HANA plus visual intelligence or visual intelligence scenario, you remove a lot of the ambiguity, you put a best-in-class system and server in place, and you get a fantastic performance. Now, we are extending what we've learned with that into the broader when Visual Insight connects to non-HANA systems, which it will. That's the very next thing that we're working on, is making it connect to everything that's not HANA. But you learn a lot by saying, well, what can we use out of the HANA optimizations to put in non-HANA systems? And we learn a lot.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, I don't think that SAP would need to be apologetic for, we're going to take our awesome platform, HANA, and a really cool visualization product and put them together. And I will tell you this, there is no company that can match the performance of a HANA plus a visual intelligence system. They might be able to say, wow, we got a little in-memory on the desktop.
I would agree with that
You're
statement.
not going to get that enterprise class powerhouse. It's just not going to happen.
I would tend to agree with that statement. Gabe, does that answer your question? Gabe?
Yes, it does.
Okay, do we have any more questions from our live studio audience? Hopefully they're awake. Any other questions from you guys? I think we're going to get ready to shut this down. There's a lot of stuff going on online.
I can see that.
You guys online are nuts. That's all I have to
tweets.
say. There's a lot going on online. There's EDW people are not happy because you won't give cost. They're wondering if you didn't get the approval before you came here. There's it doesn't compress. There's where did Fujitsu come from online. It's great. You guys have actually been around for a long time. So there's a lot going on here. I think we have to deal with this through a blog post separately.
Yeah, I think one more thing on the pricing is, I didn't want this to turn into a, review of the list price, session for HANA. I think
Agree.
what I wanted to do was, we've shared out of the 4 versions of HANA, there's the B1, there's Edge, there's BW, and then there's, the full use. I've given full visibility into 3 out of 4. The 4th one, anybody wants that one-on-one in a conference call with a, me or an account executive, we'll of course share that. There's nothing, secret there, but
Okay.
I think that it's just, we want to provide some more value beyond just what's the list price of HANA.
Top industries for HANA. These are just quick questions before we sign off.
Well, I would have,
Manufacturing, I know must be on. Financial.
Certainly financial services and
Yep.
banking are really strong ones.
Yep.
Manufacturing is a big one. Retail, CPG, those are all really big players. To be honest with you, the business is getting so big, the distribution's almost normalizing.
Have you seen much growth in healthcare, Steve?
Yeah, I would not have guessed that
Exactly.
initially, but there's a lot, and I think it's just because of the data sizes.
Okay, I think we're at time here, right, Keith? Yeah, we're at time. We're gonna have to start to wrap this up. So if we don't have any more questions from the studio audience, is there anything that you want to end with, Steve, or with Richard?
Well,
Shut us
at
down?
the end of the day, I mean, if there's one thing is, I'm very careful to go around beating the drum about how great HANA is. The only reason it's great is because our customers make it great. And,
Okay.
And, especially, there's some in the room, there's some listening that were early adopters of HANA, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you for believing in what we're doing and helping it be great. And we know that it really doesn't happen without customers and partners. We get that, and we're going to try our best to continue to innovate, continue to do great things on SAP and non-SAP alike.
Excellent. And then the roadmap as well. I forgot to ask that. Where's the roadmap?
We're going to publish a link on Friday. I've been twaminded, I guess, many
Few times. Yep.
So tomorrow we're going to publish a link online for that.
Cool.
Okay. And then
Cool.
Richard, any closing comments?
Yes,
Thank you, Steve.
absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for running this as well.
Yes, thank you,
We're
Nico.
also happy to be an SAP partner. We're a Tier 1 partner there. We got a nice Pinnacle Award from SAP at Sapphire for innovation around HANA, and I think even though it may seem to some people we've come out of nowhere, in fact, we've been working with SAP for a number of decades through our various iterations. So it's no surprise to us within the company that we've got these top-end appliances and we're able to work together. So I'm just happy to be able to spread the good news.
Miko, thank you for pulling us together.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I have one more comment. These guys are gonna choke me. I'm sorry. I know
You
them.
wanna know who's gonna
They
win the
said,
Braves game?
yeah. I'm a slave to my Twitter feed, man, and they're killing me here. They're like, Miko, tell Steve. So I'm sorry,
Okay.
guys.
I
Give me
can't
2
wait.
more minutes. Miko, Can you mention a suggestion to split EDW use cases on Experience HANA site? Is that going to be
Oh.
possible?
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone just wants to
Yeah,
know.
we can do
Steve
that.
said it'll get done. Will it get done this quarter?
I just said it was a good idea. We will do
You'll
that.
put it in the suggestion box.
We will do that.
Okay. There's a lot more here, but I think we'll go
Okay.
through this a bit later on. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you so much. This is another segment from All Access SAP. I do have to take a minute to thank our sponsors, Fujitsu
You're welcome.
and Bellsoft for doing this. As you know, All Access SAP is supposed to be your no bullshit series, just to be honest, where we get executives to sit down. You see, he doesn't have a tie. There's no sales in here,
I
right?
want a tie.
The real idea here is this wasn't rehearsed. It's really to take real questions and get real answers. Steve's going to be at your disposal, hopefully, for next hour.
Yeah.
Yes? So he'll be walking around. So any questions you have, feel free to ping him. And I just thank you guys for being here. Thank you very much. You're going to have fun with this.
Bellsoft, a global systems integrator with 4 offices in the US, 1 in Canada, and 2 offshore development facilities in India, is announcing our SAP HANA partnership with Fujitsu. For 17 years, Bellsoft has exceeded the needs of enterprise clients all around the world. Bellsoft is an SAP partner specializing in SAP solutions, delivered on-site, nearshore, and offshore. Bellsoft thanks you for joining us, and we look forward to working with you. Please contact us at saphana@bellsoftinc.com. That's saphana@bellsoftinc.com.